Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. So today I've got a 2019 KXF250. You might recognise this bike because it used to be mine, okay? It now belongs to my friend's son. He's done quite a lot of hours on it, but it won't start for some reason, so we're going to strip it apart. Well, hopefully not strip it apart, we're going to dig into it and see what the problem is. Let's take a look. So here it is. It's still got the same graphics on when I used to own it. It still looks pretty cool, the bike. So the non-starting issue on this one, I'm going straight into valve clearances, okay? Hopefully it's not. It might be something like a spark plug or something like that simple, or ignition coils or wire out. It could be a fault of kill switch. We don't know yet. I've not looked at it. So I'm guessing it's valve clearances because I don't know how many hours it's done on the bike, and I did a valve clearance on this bike when I first got it, and I've not counted how many hours I've done on it. But the bike, he did say the bike ran perfect. It starts 1 or 2 kicks always, and he took the bike out, brought it back home. It's not started for a week. It suddenly will not fire up now. So what I'm going to do first of all is test the kill switch. Then I'm going to test the spark plugs if we've got a spark at the plug, the ignition coil, stuff like that. And then I'll rule out the valve clearances until we can eliminate those problems. Let's get it apart. Right. So first thing I'm going to do is test the kill switch. All right. So what I'm looking for here, I'm going to put these 2 probes on the pins for the kill switch there, right? And it should read open line. Okay, if this reads 0, which I'll try and replicate that for you, let's have a look. So if I put these 2 probes on these 2 contact pins there, and it reads this, excuse me, one armband it. If it reads that 0, that means that the kill switch is actually stuck on. All right. Okay, so this will short it out. If it's open, we're fine. There you go, got those 2 probes on there, and the kill switch seems to be working fine. All right, I'll show you it working. Are you ready? That kill switch is working fine. All right. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is check down through the line. So there it's in megaohms. I can't see that decimal point on there actually because of the reflection screen. Is that 420 or 4 megaohms? If that said 0, that zeroed out, then we would have a short circuit. So this looks like the kill switch and everything looks like it's working as it should. Okay. Right. So I've reconnected the kill switch because we want to actually keep these the circuits all back together, just in case we do find something wrong with the bike and we can correct it, and we fire it up and we can't shut the damn thing off. So just for safety reasons, we're going to put that back together, okay? I'm not going to investigate further. What I'm going to do is get the seat off, I'm going to get the tank off, I'm going to get the panel so the electric is exposed. But I'm going to check the spark plug next to see if we've got a spark at the plug. Right. I'm pretty sure that you all don't want to watch me stripping the seat off and the tank and stuff like that. So tank is off. We've got a quick release fuel line. Let's have a look. On the pump there, quick release fuel line there, and there's your fuel pump connector. Stick that in there. Fuel shouldn't come out of here. The connector for that wiring is just this one here, okay? If you struggle to get it out, because these connectors do bung up when there's a lot of crap inside of this little tab here, you can see it, pull it out and that should slide off like that, and you can get to the back of your connector. Okay, we'll put him back on there. There, come on man, sorry. Right, so the fuel line here should have fuel in it, okay? Should tip some fuel out of there. If it's bone dry, then you could have a problem with your fuel pump. Usually, if it's a problem with your fuel pump, it'll show you on there. This should light up when you're firing it, just to show that the circuit is complete, it's getting energy to it. Right, so I've pulled the spark plug suppressor cap off there. There's a lot of water in there, which could maybe a problem. All right, water can build up in there, it can destroy this. There's a lot of mud. I want to pull a spark plug out. There's a lot of mud in there. This has not been fastened down properly, or it's come loose. So I don't want to pull the spark plug out of that, just in case I get lots of crap drop into the cylinder head. So I'll try to clean that out first before I do that. Other than that, I can stick another spark plug in there to see if it fires up and get a spark on it. So we'll do that next. Alright, so I've got a spark plug on there. It's a 2-stroke spark plug. It doesn't particularly matter what plug we use. I'm going to stick that on the head there. Whoa! Okay, pardon my shin, but that's got a spark on there. So that's working. Right, so next thing, valve clearance, look at state of that in there. Okay, so we're going to remove this bolt, that bolt, and also the inspection covers and the timing there. Right, so when you remove these timing cover caps, make sure you've got a nice healthy screwdriver, a flat one. We're going to put pressure this way. Pressure obviously going to be turned out. We're going to pressure that way. What we're going to do is tap this, and it'll spring loose just like that. Gentle pressure that way, anti-clockwise. There you go, just like that. Don't try to get a screwdriver in there and force it round and strip them, make a mess of them. All right. Easiest way to do it is that. I've not dropped the oil out, by the way. Shouldn't get any oil spilling out of here. It's well below the mark. Okay. Okay, so we need to remove the engine mount as well. So 12mm, 14mm, and we need a 17mm for the flywheel nut. That one does have a nut behind it. It should secure itself around the back of the head there. As it locks it, you don't need a spanner for it. Okay, but it has a nut behind there. Just be aware of that one. I'm going to put him down there, and I will. Hopefully I don't have to remove the cover, but can you just see there where it's peeling the sealant off? You'll have to replace that. If you've had this off, you'll need to replace that, okay? Okay, so we need to time the engine now. So what I'm going to look for is the timing marks on the cams first, and I'm going to revert down here to the flywheel to find the timing mark on there and make sure they're all lined up. So we're looking for some dots, as there should be 3 dots per cam, or usually there can be 2 dots per cam, and 1 dot will be, let's say, at the top, and 1 to the side and 1 to the bottom, just to show you where it goes. Okay, so we're going to turn this round until we see those dots. So there's 1 dot there, and that's just done 1 cycle. Where that go? Bring it around level. And there we go, around that. I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about the cams and where you should be measuring. All right, it's usually this area, the rounded area, anywhere past this point here is going to get your measurement on your valve clearances. So this should not be touching it all. The only part of the cam should make contact. You can see just on the top of that one where it's slightly grazed. That's the part that makes contact with the valves to open it. The valve bucket's okay. So we're going to measure these cams now. All right. We're going to measure the clearances, all right? Okay, so before we start checking valve clearances, I'm going to show you the key tools you obviously need if you've never done this before, all right? Most importantly, get proper tools. Do not get cheap, crappy tools. I've got this metric. I always work in metric. It's a greater measurement, a more accurate measurement. It's working with metric. Don't care what anyone says it is. All right, so I've got this metric micrometer. It's a Moore and Wright micrometer. Okay, Moore and Wright are good makes, quality tools. So even if you get one of these second hand, get yourself a quality micrometer so you're accurate with your measurements. Okay, I'm going to show you how to use this later on, but first of all I'll continue with the rest of the tools. The feeler gauge as well. Make sure you get some good quality feeler gauges, and when you get those feeler gauges, before you use them, you want to actually check them with the micrometer to make sure they are what they say they are. So you can get some cheap quality tools like this, maybe it's on Amazon, whichever, I don't know, or even from some tool shops where you can measure these feeler gauges and the measurements can be off, so that can throw your measurements off obviously when you're doing valve clearance, and that is massively important. Okay, right, I'm just going to try and get the best angle for you, and that's pretty good, isn't it? Alright, so I'm going to start with the intake valve. I have taken all these measurements, by the way. I've already done it, so I'm just going to go through it again. Okay, you can see I've used this one already because it's got a bend on the end of it. This is a 0.3, a 0.03, so it's a very small measurement. Now I cannot get that. This is the intake valve, right intake valve, and that 0.3 will not go under there, so that's nipped up tight. What's probably happening, because this is in contact with that, what's most likely happening is that the valve is pushed open slightly, so it's losing compression. That way this won't fire up. It did feel when I tried to kick the bike up, it's got no compression. I couldn't find the decompression cycle on top of the centre, so that's possibly what's happening there. All right, I'll look at the cams. They are in the right place, so it shouldn't really be touching at that angle. So this 0.3 will not go under. I've probably got a small one somewhere, but I'm not going to fight with that. So the next next measurement. So we've got ourselves a 0.4. This one, the 0.4 goes through. I tried a 0.5, and that won't go through there at all, but a 0.4 does. Let me just get the camera out of the way so I can see where I'm poking that in. There we go. So you can just see that popping out the other end there. You can see it there. So that goes under 0.4. That fits nice. 0.5 won't go under there. So we're going to record that one. Left intake as a 0.04. So we've got 0.04, 0. Okay. Now I'm going to go into the exhaust valves. Okay, so I've got a 0.23 here. I've not got a 0.22. No, but it doesn't matter. I can sort that out. A 0.23. Let's see if this one goes in. Yeah, that goes in there. I'd say that one it's quite a push. It's quite a push, so I would say that is more or less 0.22 to be exact. Okay, the next one, excuse me if I'm getting in the way, that will not go at all. Okay, it'll not go at all. 0.23 stuck, so we'll try for 20. We'll try 20 in that. Again, excuse me while I get my hand in the way. I'll just poke it in there for you. 20 will not go. Can't get 20 in there. So we'll go smaller. 0.18 on this one. Get in there. Right, that goes. Okay, the 0.18 or 18 as we call it, that goes in there. I would say that is borderline tight enough. Okay, so the next thing is to record all your findings. All right, so this is how I draw it out. Usually doing a bit of paper. I've got this whiteboard. This is how I draw it out. So this is a direct. That's similar in the cam chain. That's the direction of the bike going. So we've got our left exhaust, right exhaust, left intake, right intake. These are the target values we need to achieve. All right, so I'll put my recording down here, 0.04, 0, we don't know what that one actually is yet. And we've got 0.18, 0.23. So what we're going to do now is disassemble the top end, and we're going to measure the valve shims, and we're going to write those down, individual valve shims we've got. Then we're going to do our calculations and deduct the amount needed to put the correct ones in. And I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so this is our target. So between 0.10 or 10, just to simplify it, I call it 10. Okay, but so it's between 10 and 15. You don't have to go 0.10 or 0.22. Just simplify everything in your head so you can work it all out. Less to worry about them. So we'll say 10 and 15. That's what these should be. The intakes, both of them, 10 and 15. Obviously, the exhaust valve should be between 17 and 22. Okay, ignore the decimal points. Not important right now, and we'll show you how to calculate them in your head without using a Shim calculator or anything like that. It's quite easy. Okay, let's go. Right, so 12mm spanner for the adjuster, the cam chain tension adjuster. I've pre-slackened this, so you want to make sure that's just slack. It's just loose, alright, you don't have to take it off. Then we want 8mm, 2 8mm for these here. I've slackened these off yet again. So I'm going to, sorry if I'm getting in the way, I'm going to turn these out alternate. I'm not going to remove one and the other. Now the cam chain tensioner inside there will be extending at this point. Should this come away, but don't worry. It's actually stuck in there, so the bolts are coming out freely. Right, so I'm going to remove these. Nothing will pop out of you, so don't worry if you've not done this before. A little bit of rust forming on that one. Again, the cam chain tensioner, we'll go into that, the workings of it when we get to it, but we'll just remove it at the moment. So this is going to come out now. There we go. So when you remove this tensioner, you'll hear like a clicking sound. That's just a tensioner. So that'll compress and extend. That's just the sound you're hearing, okay? Right, so all those bolts are out. They should all be the same length, so don't worry about trying to put them exactly where they came from. Don't worry about that. So give this a little jiggle. It might be a little bit tight at one end. Watch out for sharp edges as well. Yeah, devil. It'll be on square, so it will be a little bit of a fiddle to get off. Very carefully, because see those slots there? Hiding away is these little half moon shims. Don't lose those. Okay, just check where your dowels are as well, because there's some, obviously there's a dowel on there, push them back down, push that one back down as well. We'll remove this because we're going to clean it up and re-lubricate, reseal those ends. So the cam chain, now these cams will come out now, but we don't want to lose the cam chain, do we? So what we're going to do is we're going to tie this up with a tie wrap or some wire or something like that. You don't want it to drop down in there. If it does drop down in there, don't worry. All you simply do is grab yourself a little magnet. Usually what I'll do is just attach a magnet like this onto their pen magnet. I have dropped cam chains down there before. I've never had a problem getting them out, to be fair. So I'm not going to mark it up, the cam chain. Some people put Tipex on and stuff like that, and if you do that, you don't know anything about engines. There's no reason to mark a chain up. It's just a chain. You don't mark your belt up, do you, when you put your belt on your trousers? Right, I'm going to put the camera down so I can use two hands to get these cams out. And so I've got all our components laid out up here. I'm going to inspect these, obviously, find if there's any wear on them, and they look absolutely spot on. Now, cam bearings. Again, the bearings, so they will wear out in time. You can give these these feel lovely and smooth. Not if they go anything like that, then obviously they're knackered. I've never really had cam bearings shot to hell, but you do actually have to keep a watch on these. They feel nice and smooth. They rotate, not locking, anything like that. Not like my 916, 916 bearings. So that's your decompression lever there. How that works when you're kicking your bike over, it opens the exhaust valve a little bit just to allow some compression out. The old 4-strokes used to have a decompression lever on the angle bars. If you remember back in those days with the carbs and things like that, the decompression lever, so to get the bike to top dead centre, quick flick of that, then kick it at the same time. There's a technique to doing it. Not many people can do that. I can. Anyway, so yeah, I'll go into the components later if you want to know that. We're just going to get these valve buckets out now and have a look at these shims. Alright. Right, so we'll go for right intake. I've got my powerful torch magnet. I like to use, well, the magnets are probably the only thing you can use on here. Be careful the valve shim doesn't drop inside the cylinder. So the valve shim's in there, look at that. Right, so I'll put that over here. I'm going to just place these, let's tie that, place these in series as it is drawn upstairs on the board. So intake here and the exhaust valves there. Strong magnet that. It's good to get yourself a couple of magnets actually, because sometimes some bikes you can't get stuff like this in. Some road bikes are quite tight. Dirt bikes are brilliant to do in valve clearances in. That one just got a little bit jammed. So if you're trying to put these in or take them out, they've got to be level, dead straight, otherwise they might jam up a little bit. So if you're pulling it out and it locks, just push it back down, pull it out again. They need to be, actually, like I said, definitely level and symmetrical to put them in and out. You should never have to force them, and should just drop straight in. Right, so let me torch off. That's all those there. We're going to get a micrometer. I'm going to measure all these shim sizes and write that on the board and do our calculations, right? So I'm just going to turn this around. So that's our cam chain side, okay? So we're going to start measuring from the intake ones first, right? Okay, so open my barrel up. Hopefully I can focus on this here. What I've got, I'm going to wind that in. So I've got 1.73 on that one. I'll explain later why it doesn't say 73 on there. All right, 1.73. I'll make a note of that on the wall, on the board, sorry. And here, 1.76. This is just off 7.5. That 1.76. So it's in between. I'd say that's 1.75, that one, to be honest. Not here. That one's 1.75, 76, 77, 78, 1.78, that one. And this one here, we're not going to adjust this exhaust valve, that stays at 1.75. okay, right, so I'm going to record the values on the wall and then I'm going to show you how to read the micrometer. Okay, so what I plan to do is get this video broken down, because if I released it with all this footage in, what I've done with it, the valve clearances, the fault finding, and the how to read a micrometer, it's going to be like over an hour, so it's not going to bode well with people, that. So what I'm going to do is break this video down, okay. I'm going to put the micrometer, learn how to use a micrometer, is going to be separate to this one, all right. I think it's a better way of doing it that anyway, all right. Okay, everybody, so this is my board of education, all right, my whiteboard. So we've got a little diagram here of my measurements and my valve clearances. So I'll just explain to what we've got here. So that's the cam chain side, just to highlight it. Exhaust valve left, exhaust valve right, intake left, intake right, and our target values here. So at the minute, our target values need to be closer to here. Okay, so our exhaust valve clearances should be between 0.17 and 0.22. Our intake 0.10 to 0.15. Okay, so I'm going to get, first of all, I'm going to get rid of that. So our target values now are closest I can get them to these values here. Okay, 0.22 to 0.15. All right, that should give us plenty of hours on that bike with the clearance has been at that. So I've wrote down on here, this blue, right in blue here, is the valve shim size I want to put in there. All right, and in the red here we've got the valve shim size we currently have in here, and in the black we have our readings from our feeler gauges. All right, so the right intake 0, because I couldn't get a feeler gauge in there, so I'll just put 0. We don't know really what size that actually is yet, so we're going to take a guesstimation on that. They're not far apart, these two here, 0.75 and 7.3. So I'm just going to go for a 65. I'm knocking 10 off that just to keep this simple. I'm not going to go for 1.62 or 63, 1.65 to keep it simple. I may have to put a small one in, we don't know yet. So what we're going to do, we'll get these valve shims fitted, and then we'll assemble the whole thing, take another reading and see what we get on that one. And we may have to come back to that one again, all right? But at least if we can get a feeler gauge in there, we know exactly where we need to go. Right, so how did I get these measurements? Okay, I've not used a shim calculator or anything like that. I've not used a calculator. I'll just use it all in my head. So I'm going to simplify it for you. So our clearance here is 0.18. It needs to be 0.22. So how do we achieve that? You count upwards. Whatever clearance you get, you count upwards, okay? And that'll give you a figure. And that figure then, you need to deduct that figure from your current valve shim size. So I'll write this in black here. So we need, on here, we need to achieve a clearance of 0.22, 0.22. We're going to simplify that now even further. So we're going to get rid of the 0, we're going to get rid of the decimal point, and we're going to talk in just basic numbers, okay? 22. All right, we're going to get rid of the decimal point, we don't need it. Okay, so 22, and we've got a clearance of 18. It would be 0.18, we know that, but this is actually 18, just to simplify it. All right, so how can we make that? What do you need to add to 18 to make it 22? It's 4, okay? We need to add 4 to there, so 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, okay? So, watch my hands. So we've got that down. Right, so we have a valve shim 1.78, okay, 1.78. What we're going to do now, I'm going to get rid of this as well. We're going to take 4 from 78. What is it? 74. Just like that. Okay. So all we need to do now, 1.74. We are not going to take 1mm off these valve shims. All we are working on is what's after the decimal point. Okay, the first 2 figures. That's all we are working on. We're not working on this side here. God forbid anyway. That would be a real out of spec clearance. So we need a valve clearance of 20. We need a valve clearance of 20. And our valve clearance is currently 15. And our valve shim is 1.50. Our valve shim is 1.50. We measure it. So what we need to do is just deduct 5 from there, okay? 1.45 shall increase this value clearance to 20 just by that 5 minus 5. So we're taking minus 5 from the existing valve shim to increase that gap further for the feeler gauge to go through, and that's how you do it. So you can put the decimal point there if you want to say 0.20 or 0.15 or 0.150, whichever how you want to measure it. That's up to you, but it looks more simple if you just do this. Okay, get rid of the decimal point, then you're not going to get confused. All right, back in the room. So if we have a valve shim clearance target of 20, remember the 0.20, okay, and we measure it. We may have a 4-stroke bike which as soon as the bike warms up, gets hot, it goes. You hear the top end tapping, use exhaust valves. You hear that tapping, it means when everything's expanded, that gap is too great. Okay, some people say a loose top end is a good top end, but no, it's not good. Not good to have a loose top end. Okay, so that means that gap is big. So let's say we measure our gap, and it's 25 or 0.25, whichever you want to do. 25, okay, that's our feeler gauge, our gap is. All right, so what we want to do is increase the valve shim. So let's say the valve shim on that is 1.50. Okay, what we want to do is add a 1.55 valve shim, so that will make that gap smaller, and our clearance will be 20. Okay, so remember, everything to the left of the decimal point, you don't need it. Decimal point gone, you don't need that. Just focus on simple maths on this. All right, so recap before I go into reading the micrometer. The recap is, if you want to increase the gap, make the gap bigger, then you deduct, you count upwards from your original measurement. You count upwards, and whatever that means, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, you count up to your target value, and then you deduct that number from your valve shim thickness. All right, so hopefully that's a simple way of doing this. All right, so I've got all the valve shims I need now. Look at that, it's almost there, that 1.74. It's just off 173, so that will do the job, that one, for the left exhaust. And these are pretty much bang on for what I need. Okay, if I came to a point where I wanted, let's say, 1.62, and the smallest valve shim I had was a 1.65, then what I have done in the past, and some people frown against this, but in the past I've done it and it's had very good results. I will sand down the valve shim. So I'll take a measurement on the valve shim. I will get some 800 grit sandpaper, 800 or 400. I usually find 800 is the best. Wet and dry paper. You tape that to a flat surface, a surface plate, a piece of glass, whatever you want to do, and you simply, can't do it there obviously, then I just sand it in a figure of 8 motion, turning it slightly, sand the shim in a figure 8 motion. I did this on my Suzuki GSX-R video. Keep going with it. You might only need around about 30 passes, something like that. Then take a measurement of your valve shim with your micrometer, not that one, and then see where you get to. So a little bit of oil on all of these.